Alright guys, now that we got the 5665 back together, I figured it would be smart to take off the advanced casting and check out the forward reverse planetary and clutch. Given that the one in the back was so trashed, I think chances are pretty good that the front is just as bad. So what I'm going to do is unhook this mower deck here, and I guess I got to take the handlebars off here, and not off, but just unbolt them from the advanced casting, and we'll take that off and we're going to inspect that clutch. So we'll check it out. Well, in order to get to these bolts up here, these bolts are probably the tightest bolts I've ever seen before. All the way around, I thought they were going to snap off just trying to take them out. It's ridiculous. So I don't know if somebody tightened these with an impact wrench or what, but I've never seen a bolt so tight before. I can't get to those bolt heads with my ratchet because all the shipper shaft business is in the way. So what I'm going to have to do is take the shipper shaft off in order to get my ratchet into that bolt. I've tried to do it with a wrench, but I just can't get the leverage on a wrench, and I don't want to snap this off or strip the head. It's very crucial that I get it out, so we'll give it a shot. Alright guys, we got the advanced casting off, and now it's time to pull these planetaries here and scope out how our front's doing. And this looks a little bit worn. It's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's not the best. You know, it's probably worn about 1/3 of the way through, which again is, I don't think is really that bad. I've seen worse. Ooh, gotta be careful. There's a washer here that goes in front of it. I don't want to lose that. Now, these whole these gears are pretty good. It's really the clutch is what I'm worried about, and there is a little bit of side-to-side play here in this gear, which I guess is par for the course, as we found out with the back. But let's see here. It's really the clutch is what I'm... Oh, the clutch! Now I'm very happy I took this apart. This clutch, like the back, doesn't have one piece of lining on it. It's just a piece of freaking metal with nothing left on it. Oh my gosh. That is so funny. This ring gear here looks like brand new. And again, there's a little bit of play in here, but it's okay. It's really just this clutch that's our culprit of our issues here. So let me get that clutch out. And I could tell because if you look over here at our adjustments on the rod, look where we're at. This thing is all the way tight. Whoever had this before me has it so tight that the spring is completely compressed, and they put this big huge washer on here around the lever here. It's all broken inside the lever where the spring would attach. You think that the guy would have a clue that there's a problem with the freaking clutch when it's adjusted like this. You know, like I said before, we call them DPOs, dumb previous owners, and there's a reason that they have that name. Bunch of dumbasses. So I'm gonna remove this clutch shifter mechanism here, and that should allow me to back off this lever and push it back, which should allow the clutch to come out the front. And then hopefully we can put a new used clutch in. I have some used clutches here that are, you know, they're not the best things in the world, but they're better than this. So unfortunately that's all I have, so I'm gonna have to do with what I have. But I'm really glad I took this front apart. I'll be honest, it was a real pain in the butt to get it out. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit all these holes with a tap before I put it back together. And I really don't trust those bolts that were in there one bit either, so I'm going to buy 6 new bolts and we'll put all new bolts in there also. Alright guys, so I got the clutch out, and this is actually pretty comical to me that the freaking tractor even works. I mean, there is not 1 ounce of clutch material left on this. In fact, it's kind of funny, but I'm looking at the ground and I said, what the heck is that? I don't remember having any gaskets come off. Well, this is literally the clutch lining, and this was sitting inside the machine there, like it fell out in the advanced casting, and it's literally just like a little piece of gasket or something. It's kind of funny, but this clutch has got nothing left to it. It's really amazing. I guess there's one little piece over here about 3 inches long, which matches up with the way the rear clutch was too, if you guys remember that. And again, this previous owner really trashed this machine. It's really sad. And you wonder why the rod was blown in the motor. Everything was trashed. They must not have maintained anything. Well, the 2 clutches that I have in stock are pretty bad. This one here is just thin, like I can almost see the cast iron right through it. On this side, it's like peeling a little bit. I have another one here, and you can see it's starting to flake apart. So I don't know like how bad it is to run it like that, but it does have some serious holes in it. And it looks like I might have another one sitting back here in the box. So let me see if I can grab this one. Let's see. This one here was in my ProMaster 50, which had a gear brake. It fell out on the planetary, and that trashed the whole transmission. This one has a couple like chunks of metal busted into it here, but you can see over here it just like a tooth of a gear blew right through it. So I now have about 5 clutches sitting around that I don't really think are any good. And again, I really wish that there was a way to get these things relined, you know, because it's really a sin to have all these clutches, and a new one is very expensive. I want to say it's like $175 for a new clutch. It's a lot of money, you know. So, you know, some guys would probably use these, and I may end up having to use it, but I'm going to try to source some parts and see if I can find a better one. I'm in no rush to put my tractor back together because it's the middle of winter and I really don't have any use for it this time of year. And it's been sitting in my garage for 10 years, so what the heck is another week or two to get it back together at this point in time, right? So we'll do it right. But in the meantime, I think we learned that clutches are an integral part of the tractor and they can't be ignored. I really wonder if the tractor had a low oil level in the transmission, which could have led to the rear planetary being trashed. It could have led to the clutches overheating, which would probably make the linings fall right off of them. And again, this tractor I got for free, so it doesn't owe me anything, but just points to a lot of neglect by the prior owner, which I'm not shocked about. And it's just little things like checking the oil, changing the oil. It's really not that big a deal. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do it, but people ignore it, and then this is the consequences. So hopefully we learned a lesson about maintenance, preventative maintenance. All right? I'll check back in when I get some new parts. Now I started thinking the surface that mates with the clutch, could that be screwed up? And you see like there's some scoring in here. It's not rough to the touch or anything, but it clearly has some grooves to it. I don't know if that's going to tear up my new clutch when I put my new clutch in, but that is a concern of mine. And if I look at the other side, you can clearly see there's some scoring on here also. Again, it really doesn't feel rough, but again, the clutch is moving in and out like my thumb is this way, right? So this is almost like taking something with a, I don't know, like a grooved surface and pushing it into the clutch. Is it just going to peel it right off? I don't know the answer to that, and I don't have a way of like machining this or anything, but that is a valid question. Do those little grooves on there matter? Should I take something and attempt to smooth it out before I reassemble it? Like they turn a rotor on a brake to get those grooves out of there, or whatever. Now this is at a slight angle, so I don't know how you would like turn it per se. You can't mount it into anything either. Oops. But that is a valid question here. And I'm thinking I'm going to take some very fine sandpaper, like some 1200 grit or something like that, and just attempt to polish those score marks out of it before I put it back together. But other than that, this gear really doesn't show any wear at all. It's very nice. So, yeah, it's really a shame. So, again, people are idiots that don't maintain tractors. Enough said.